teach people that tonight, is creating event pages for tonight. We're going to be doing for a listening session, because I know a lot of you, your states are organizing listening sessions. A lot of you are doing them as a team, as a group. But the reason why we teach people listening sessions first is because it's easy to teach others how to do it. And so you're going to have other members of your team wanting to plan listening sessions. And now you can be the person that creates the digital tool, the registration page for them. This is being recorded, and so we're going to have this for anybody that might have signed up and perhaps missed it. And then we want you to ask your questions as we're kind of moving along here tonight, because chances are somebody else has the same question as we're moving along. But we are going to ask you to keep the questions very specific to the training. We want to try to keep this at an hour, and so we're going to try to stay on topic. Some of the other things here, I had something else. Oh, yes. We are building and have built a Google Classroom specific for Action Network. And so what we're going to do by tomorrow is everybody here that's attending tonight is going to get an invite from Action Network to be an administrator on your state's team page. So that email is not going to come from me. It's not going to come from Garrett. It's going to come from Action Network. And so it's really important that you accept that and create, if you don't have a profile in Action Network yet, you can create an Action Network profile. And by doing that, you're going to be able to access your state's page to create those campaigns. I hope that piece makes sense. And that being said, anytime.
Hey, Aaron.
Yep.
One thing on the invite, when it comes to you, please accept it. They're time stamped. And if you don't accept the admin role, I don't know the exact window. You won't, it'll be removed and your admin permissions won't be there. So as soon as you see it come from Action Network, it might fall into your, check your spam mail. We are going to get them out to everybody who's on this call. We will get them to you tomorrow. So check your promotional tab or your spam mail. And if you didn't receive it by the end of the day tomorrow, email myself and Aaron and we'll double check. But if you see it, please click on it ASAP. It takes 2 seconds. Thanks.
And that is the reason why we're asking people, if you don't have your full name in your window, if you could change that right now, if you could rename yourself, so that way Garrett and I can just take a picture and just make sure that we have everybody that was on this call, and send you the correct invite for the correct state. And so there's a little bit of organizing to do on our end. And so just putting your full name in the in the video tonight will help us do that. And I mentioned we'll be sending Google Classroom a little bit further on in the week. So accept that Google Classroom, that's just for this group here. And they'll have they're going to have some stuff that is a little ahead of this training, like how to do a petition, how to do letter writing. You can kind of explore that and jump into it. But know that we are going to do training specifically on those actions for you all and kind of walk with you in that process. That being said, Garrett and I are also available to do, if you're kind of stuck doing an action or you forgot something, just kind of reach out to us and we can kind of help you out. For tonight, it'll help if you have a notebook handy, so you can just take some notes as you're going through, and we'll kind of walk with you in the process. And so any sort of questions are welcome tonight, as long as it's sticking to digital tools, so we can all help each other out, because that's what Advocacy Project is individuals helping out other individuals across the country. So Garrett, do you have anything else to add there, or before we get started? I see Ryan's making a cameo.
Yeah, Ryan, you want to say hi to everybody since you're here?
I'm whispering in the background. Hey, everybody, good to see you.
No, I think we're good. I'll share my screen.
All right, and so everybody, one really important thing to know about Action Network. So you will get the invite, but in order to go, so you'll be able to create a profile and a password to log into it. I always stay logged into mine, so I don't have to forget. But it's actionnetwork.org, and that's really important because actionnetwork.com is a sports betting page, so you don't want to go to actionnetwork.com. And then there's also a national Action Network run by Reverend Al Sharpton. It's not that one. And so just so everybody knows, it's actionnetwork.org, and that's how you sign in. So welcome everybody. If you're joining us.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind, if anybody just joined, please make sure your full name is changed, so we can make sure we get the correct invite out.
Yes.
Leave that lawnmower over there in your garage.
All right, Garrett, do you want to share your screen here, and we'll get started. I think I covered everything there.
Yes.
But if you have questions about the digital tools as we're going through this tonight, you can either use the hand raising feature in Zoom, or you can take yourself off of mute and ask your questions. And so everybody should be able to see Garrett's screen here. Give us a second. It popped up, Garrett, and then it left. There we go.
That
Yes, there it is. Okay. And so everybody should be able to take a look at this. This is called your dashboard. Everybody here is going to be made an administrator of your state page. This is what this is not like what your actual page looks like. This is like the behind the scenes sort of piece where you can go in as an administrator and create actions for your state. And so this is the dashboard. So when we refer back to this, we're talking about this. And so every single state has a page like this. And so Nathan Mitchell in Virginia, he's an administrator for the Virginia state page. Right. And Jason Relogio in Pennsylvania, he would be an admin for the Pennsylvania state page. And so each state has one just like this. And so this is what you see when you sign into as an administrator. So you can go to view. The first thing we want people to do is go to view group, which is on the left side, right underneath where it says Nevada state page, and click on that. And we want everybody to download that image of your state. Each state has a specific image for that's it's like Washington DC has Washington Monument, Nevada has some nice mountains and stuff, and so they're all kind of pictures of your state. And so save that to your computer somewhere because you're going to need it when you're creating actions for your team. And that's it for that. But every state has this site here. And when you create actions, all of that gets listed on your state action network site. And so you can see Nevada here has a number of actions that they've created over the past year and a half, whether it's outreach or a join the movement. Every state should have that first one there. Every state has a join the movement action. And so if you want to send that link, you can click on it. If you want to send that link to any of you people in your network, or if your team builds a social media page for Recovery Advocacy Project Missouri or Virginia or Rhode Island, you can put that link on social media and get other people involved, and they'll sign up to join your state's action page. And so the reason why that's really important, and when we talk about building your state's advocacy capacity, that's what we're talking about, is every state has, and this belongs to each team, right? Go back, Garrett, to the Hey, Lindsay, welcome. If you could throw yourself on mute for now, that'd be great. And then, all right, and so we're back to the dashboard here. I just want to point out one thing here before we get started. The size of the Nevada list, 2,295 people have taken actions in Nevada. That means they signed a petition, or they wrote a letter to their elected official, or they attended an event. So you can see at the beginning of 2000, that number was like at 0. And then the more actions they did, the more people got involved in their campaigns. And the reason why that's important is because it's a smart way of organizing down the road, because we ask people things like, what are the issues you care about every time they take an action. So that way, if somebody says, hey, I'm a person in recovery, I care about harm reduction. And so if we ever wanted to email everybody in Nevada that cared about harm reduction, because, for example, there's a bill on the governor's desk that has something to do with Narcan expansion in the state, or medication assisted recovery, or something that has to do with harm reduction, we can do that. And so it's a smart way of organizing, and it allows, people don't fall through the cracks in this type of organizing, which is important, because there's plenty of times, I'm sure, that you all have signed up for something and then like nobody reaches out to you, or you never hear back from an organization, and you just kind of lose interest because there was no engagement. And so this is a smart way to keep people engaged in your state. Back to the dashboard there, Garrett. And so everybody has, and Garrett's going to kind of walk us through building an action tonight. Like I said, a lot of people are doing recovery community listening sessions right now in their states. And so for the first round, we have about 20 of them happening across the country in April. Garrett and I have built those initial registration pages for those listening sessions. And so we want to kind of teach people this. So that way, you can say, hey, I can take care of the ones in my state from here on out. And so the idea is to practice this, and just practice and practice. And you're not going to like blow up the internet by practicing some of this stuff. And so if you want to contact Garrett and I before you make an action live, that's fine. We can review it. You can say, hey, can you jump on the Arizona page and take a look at the action I created for the listening session in May? And Garrett and I can go in there and double check some of the work. It's always good to have some other eyes, because Garrett and I, we make spelling, we misspell things and we try to catch it, but it's always good to run some of this stuff by somebody else before you make it live to like put on social media where somebody can take an action on a petition or something. And so all of the main tools that we've used last year and this year are in that box on the right where it says create a sponsored action. So we're really, for the next sessions and classes, we're going to focus on events, we're going to focus on petitions, and we're going to focus on letter writing. But before we jump right into that, Garrett, why don't you click on actions on the dashboard? So everybody's going to have this. So every time you create an action in your state, whether it's a petition or it's a listening session or a letter writing campaign, that stuff gets listed in your state's actions. You can go back and see that. And so this is actually really helpful. And I'll use an example. About a month ago, we did a listening session in Virginia for LGBTQ individuals and allies. And there's a lot of great solutions proposed on that listening session. We got a lot of really good feedback from people in recovery and supporters. And now we're doing a second one of that same community, and they're forming a work group to do some work around recovery housing, safe recovery housing for LGBTQ individuals. And so we're able to go back and email the people that participated in the first listening session to say, we're having another listening session. We started talking about solutions, but we need a few more people jumping in on this. So invite your friends, come to the second listening session. And so that's what I mean by saying we can organize smarter as organizers, right? And so it allows things to like not fall through the cracks that way. And so Garrett is going to go through and show you all a really simple action of creating an event for a recovery community listening session. And we will send you the language that we use. when we build them, and you can edit it and you can change it and you can make it specific to your state or your county or your region. Some states are doing regional ones. And so I'll pass things over to Garrett, unless we want to check in on questions first. Do we want to?
I'm
Let's
happy
why don't
to.
we do that for let's open it up for if does anybody have questions up until this point before we just show you how to do an action.
Don't be shy. I had a lot of questions. And
Colleen, just take yourself. We'll take you off mute here.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hi guys. How are you doing today?
good. How are you?
Good, we're good. We're good. I'm good. I do have a question. I don't know that it matters that much, but when I look at this page, is everything always coming for all states from the Action Network, or does it come from like a state, or how is everybody branded that way, or is it coming from RAP? I'm just confused looking at this because I
So-
remember that it was the Action Network, but do we create that for ourselves, or is it always coming from one brand?
So the answer is it's different in every situation, but like to first of all, there is a main recovery advocacy project Action Network. So if I had to do something for the every state, we very rarely do national campaigns. We're very state specific and localized. So like every single page has already been pre-built. So like when you pop in here, you'll just see your state in this drop-down menu. But when I pop in here, every single state is here. So I can help work with any state here. So it is broken up by state, but they are already pre-built. But what happens, this is a good example is what we did in Texas the other day, is that we had a state specific action that had multiple partners. So like when we get more into like, creating a larger event and things like that, like we will have to work, if you have somebody that is good with, graphic design and things like that, which I'll show you where you can insert images and things like that. Like you can build a coalitions event with multiple brands involved in there. But as it sits right now, it's just a template with just your state's recovery advocacy project branding. Does that make sense? Did I answer the question?
Got it. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Hi, this is Lynette.
Hey, Lynette.
So you mentioned we will only be able to see our state page. I'm assuming though there is a way to see the other states' front-facing page so that we might want to get an idea of what some other states are doing or how it's going. You see what I'm saying? So we do have that capability, correct?
Yeah, so like the page itself, like view group. So if I did this, like this is a public facing page. So if you went to Action Network's homepage and their base, like you could search the Nevada Recovery Advocacy Project and you could see this public facing. So like managed group wouldn't be there because somebody is just from the public looking at the page. And then you can say like what kind of campaigns that they're doing. Oh, they're signing, they have volunteer work shifts for some of the groundwork that they're doing, or what's this? Tell Nevada State senators to support peer recovery support. So you can click on that action and be like, oh, this is what Nevada is working on right now in their action. So this is what a public facing page would look like. So like if you went into Action Network's homepage, you can search Florida Recovery Advocacy Project, Maine Recovery Advocacy Project, and it will give you that public facing page.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure.
And at some point, we are working to build this, and I don't know the timeline on it, but you'll be able to come to the Recovery Voices website and just click on a state, and it'll bring you to that state's action network. And that's taking a little time to build, but that's like on the horizon. So you can go check out what Recovery Advocacy Project Maine is doing, for example. And so that's being built, but it takes some time to do it.
Yeah. We're working on making state-specific pages within the Recovery Advocacy Project, but like Aaron said, it's I don't know, I'm not a web person, but I guess a lot of state pages is a lot of work. So, cool. Was there any other questions?
All right. All
Yeah,
right,
I just
let's
had,
build.
this is Bruce. I just had one question.
Sure.
Those individual pages, they're not public right now? Have they not been?
Oh, no, they're all public.
That's interesting because I searched for them on the Action Network and it doesn't come up with any groups. I don't know if anyone else has tried to do that.
So if you search,
I
If
believe,
you're
Maryland is public.
yeah.
Yeah. If you're signed into Action Network as an administrator, you're not going to be able to.
Oh,
to
that's
find
why.
them. And
Okay,
so,
that's why.
right.
All right,
And so
that's the
if you're
problem.
signed out of it and you just Google,
You got to search
know,
like you're just on the public.
Exactly.
I'm logged in. That's why.
so
Okay.
yeah, so like, yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah, good point.
Problem fixed. Thank you.
got it. And then, all right, so let's take a look at what building an action. So we're gonna build an event here. Garrett's gonna walk us through that. And you know, of course, we've been doing digital events by Zoom, and so there's the Zoom component, but you can, you know, when things kind of get back to normal and people are doing in-person events, you can do this same sort of stuff for in-person events.
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of start this like as we were all in our state team meeting. So kind of envision it like Aaron and I are part of our Nevada state team. So together, together, Aaron and I have been working out of this Google Doc, right? And we have decided that we are going to host a listening session. And like Aaron said, with the double checking on spelling and things like that, like doing it this way kind of keeps like all the team members involved. Proofreading is already done. I'm a big fan of just copying and pasting into other things, so I'm not like recreating work. So like when I work on an event, a lot of the times it's coming out of language that's already been pre-approved and worked on and decided by the team. So Aaron and I have decided that we're going to host a community listening session in the state of Nevada, right? We've decided that it's going to be March 30th at 6 p.m. PST Pacific time. And then when I tell you the role, when I talk about the roles, when I say host contact, and you'll see what I'm talking about, if you haven't seen an event page through Action Network yet, but there's a person that they usually suggest to list as somebody that if somebody has a question of like, is this going to be recorded? You know, am I allowed to bring somebody or anything like that? Like there's a point of contact. Usually it's best for somebody that's in the state. So like Aaron is going to be the point of contact. I have volunteered to host the Zoom meeting. So in my Zoom account, Aaron has agreed to moderate and ask the questions, and then I'm going to be the note taker. Now, this is the standard language. And again, Aaron and I, Aaron will make this available to everybody. So anytime you create a community listening session, you are absolutely free to use this existing language and just copy it and paste. But for example, you might have a time down the road where you're holding a community listening session specific to a very direct topic on harm reduction or access in the state. So you might need to tweak some of the language or just create language on your own. But for today's example, we're just going to use what's existing here. So just knowing that this is all here, then I'm going to come to my page. Since all of you are just in one state page, you should, once you are set as an administrator and you log in, it should bring you directly to your state page. So you won't have to go navigating for it. It should be your home base of operation. And then the first thing that we're going to do is, like Aaron said, this is where we kind of live when we're building, is this box over here. And we are going to create an event. And, you know, Aaron said we're kind of living in the age of COVID. There is other things you see like ticketed event. We're going to not do that right now. We're just going to live at the main event page. And here it is. So you could, you know, the administrative title means it's only what you, any admin or any team member that has access to this page can see. So the public will never see this. So we're just doing this as a test. Then I go back, and this is going to be a recovery community listening session. So that's what we're going to call it. And this is what we usually do for the state. So recovery community listening session, Nevada. This event has no physical location, right? So that's kind of where we've been for the last, I don't know, a little over a year now. So this event has no physical location. So looking back at my notes, we decided this is at March 30th, 2021 at 6 p.m. Pacific. So I'm going to click right here on the calendar, March 30th. Is it AM or PM? It's a PM event, 6 o'clock. And my time zone, which I could pick right here. So if, for me, Pacific Standard. And then, like I said, we've already decided that Aaron is going to be the host contact. So Aaron had told you in the beginning that remember that picture that you could say when you click on your view group, that picture that we asked that you save. So like when you get your invite, go in and like I usually just keep my page, my picture saved to my desktop because I use it so frequently. But you can, and this is also where you get into like if you want to build your own images and add things. So but you would just click here, add a banner image. And that same picture, Recovery Advocacy Project Nevada, that we said copy and save from the beginning, you just drag and drop that right there. You click OK, and that's done. And now I'm going to go here, and I've already gotten the approved language between my state team. Aaron and I approve, and done. And if you wanted to, I don't know, let's say we want this bold, we wanted it centered, or if you wanted it a different heading, you can do all that stuff right in here. It has all the things like that. If you have a link to a website, you can link it in there. Usually for listening sessions, it's been pretty straightforward where it's just language and explanation of what the event is. And then I update the date and time. We left this add date and time here. So if anybody, when you have this document, you want to, copy and paste for your own events, you can just fill in that blank. And then this is always important to have. Zoom information will be provided once you complete an RSVP. It allows people to know that once they send RSVP, they will receive their Zoom information. Now, Aaron had mentioned those.
Action Network does do that automatically for you, but so they'll send out, like if somebody registers for your event, Action Network will send out the thank you, or if they sign a petition, they'll send out a thank you. So they will get the Zoom information through that way.
Yes. So as soon as they click that, they'll see, and I'll show you the thank you page, which you'll have be able to edit as well. But before we move on to that next piece, before I move on to the next piece also, does anybody have any questions about anything I did there? Because this is the first step that you're always going to do when building an event.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yep.
So are you creating the Zoom or am I jumping ahead?
I'm going to do that on the next page.
Okay, I'll wait.
Yeah, I'll show you. Yes, but it's not the very next step. We're going to do one thing but the Zoom is usually already created in your own account. So I already have one set for the date that Aaron and then I'll show you what I do. And you can do it however you do it. It'll just show you how we do it. And we'll see if that works for you. But before we do that, Aaron pointed out a very key point to Action Network, and that's targeting people. So if somebody points themselves, says that they're a family member and they're interested in prevention, we're going to know that. But how we do that, and this is already pre-built. But once
Garrett, we have a quick question first, Sarah.
Sure.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, hey guys. I just wanted to make sure. So because on my Action Network profile, I'm not connected to any groups, so I can't see any of the state pages. And that won't happen until I get my email tomorrow.
Correct.
Yes, that's right. You're going to get an invite from Action Network specifically to be an administrator for your state page.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Great.
So the way we get that, and they're already pre-populated. So the only thing that we have to do as admins for the page is come in here and click on this edit form piece. And when I do that, it brings me to this form page. And then what we have pre-built, so there's the two questions that we put in every form, there's no editing those questions. because that's just how it's already going to break and target everybody up. So if we ever needed to talk to everybody with harm reduction, it's just based on what they clicked on. But if you come into this drop down menu, you will see this. I usually start here, status, person in recovery, impacted family member, supporter. Again, that can't be edited. You can make up questions later on down the road, but for the time being and simplicity, like these are just the questions that we go with. And then all you do is simply drag that right here. And then I go here, interests, stigma reduction, advancing justice, prevention, harm reduction, family recovery. And I place that under there. And again, there are some pre-populated things. So like if you wanted to ask for a mobile number, you can do so. And it's optional. So you can add that, but you can go through here and see what makes sense. But this first name, last name, email, zip code, email and zip code will always be required in country, because that's how also we target by location. So if somebody takes an action and they're in a certain zip code, they're in that state per se. So then from here, it's just here's this question, and then you just click save form, and now you're done with that. And you will see, go ahead.
No, so you should see that on the right get added there. So the form is what you're asking people to fill out for information. Hey, Lynette.
Right quick, those categories of areas of interest, are those the only ones that are available for use? I mean, I've noticed when I see them, I mean, I would love a couple others.
Yeah, so I agree with you. If we wanted to get we wanted to just get the basics in today. If I went back, and I just want everyone to be comfortable building an event, you can create your own questions. And I'm happy to show like how to get back into the form and just create a blank question. It's the same thing here, text input, text area, buttons. I think for simplicity and just getting people comfortable with creating an action, it's best just to use what's already in existence or not asking the questions at all. But I think later on in the trainings, we can get a little more into the weeds of how to build custom questions and build forms. So it is able to happen. We just haven't done it yet. And I agree with you. There are definitely some questions and areas that could be updated there.
Got it. Thanks.
Sure. So like if I was going to create a question, I would just kind of put it in here, and then I would write, there's a way to do all of this, but it gets into a little bit into the weeds, and I don't want to make anyone nervous. So I'm going to, I'll skip it for now, but also Aaron and I are happy to, set up a separate call and we can discuss further on that. But did you say something, Aaron? Sorry.
No, I think you just probably have to take that text input and put it back, unless it's, oh no, it's fine.
You're right.
Right, and the last thing I just wanted to show on that page is the form on the action page. If you scroll up, Garrett, every action has an option of having a progress bar or not. So what the progress bar is, an Action Network will automatically do this for you. Like if you create a petition and you want it to show, if you want to show the public how many people are signing up or have signed up, that's what the progress bar is. And it'll say our goal for this is 25, and Action Network will keep track of that. And then it'll hit 25. And then the next one, it'll say our goal for this is 50. And so it'll automatically update for you. And so if you're getting a petition signed, it'll say, our goal is this. And then when it hits that goal for petitions, it'll re-up it for you. And so it's really up to you whether you want a progress bar or not. What I would suggest is if you're going to use the progress bar, have your team members take the action first and then put it out to the public. So that way people see that people are already kind of joining in for that action. It just makes it a little bit easier because nobody ever wants to be the first person to take an action. And so sometimes you can just keep that progress bar off by clicking it, and it'll go back. And so it's really up to you. whether you want to have that feature on your action or not, depending on the action. Yep. And then does anybody have any questions here now that we've kind of built the event page? And we'll go to the next step right after this. We just want to make sure everybody's with us here.
Okay.
And again, you can go in and practice this on your action network, and it won't be live until you hit publish, right? And so,
all right. So if there's no other questions, this is what the form would look like. This is the language we're using. We've already edited the picture in there. We have all of our information, and we're going to save and go to the next step. And then this is just the standard, what the next step will always look like. And you can edit, share, so people can share directly from the link when they go into it, once you make this public. But we are going to, thank you, our thank you page. And since Aaron and I are familiar with building these, we know there's a thank you page. So just know that that's why I wrote thank you page. Thank you for registering instead of thank you for your support. So that's what we decided we wanted to say. And then this is always helpful because if somebody's viewing your action on a mobile device, sometimes they have to scroll a little bit to get down to the Zoom information. So we always like to say the Zoom link is below. And then that way, that if they need to, they'll know to scroll down. You can write scroll down, it's below this. You can write anything. So then when we were talking about the Zoom, this is where we post the Zoom instruction. So I have already, and it kind of went away because I'm in a Zoom meeting. So my invite is now back in my account. So I'm going back to it. So give me one moment. So let me see if I can. So I am going to go here to my test recovery community listening session. And I'm going to copy the invitation, copy meeting invitation, and I'm going to go back here. And this is all we do. And this is all I usually do.
and so people will be able to see this in their thank you, and when they get when after somebody takes the action, they'll be able to see the instructions. And then also the day before the event, in the case of an event, it'll send them a reminder 24 hours before, where it'll say, click on instructions, and people can go in and get the Zoom that way as well.
So now that I have, yeah, thanks. Now that I have done that, you see here, you see there's always little help icons too all over the place, which I probably should show you in the other ones, but your users will see this after they RSVP, which is what Aaron and I was referring to. So once somebody clicks that link, RSVPs, a thank you, they'll get the thank you response. And if this was in person, you would have your address in there, your point of contact, bring a friend kind of thing. But here it's the Zoom. So I'm going to now go. So here's what Aaron was mentioning when I'm going to publish this so we can all see what a live event looks like. But here's what Aaron was saying, that you can come here, build as much as you want. You're not going to break anything in your page, practice, learn, mess up. It's completely okay. And you could just click save draft. And it'll just save it as an action in a draft mode in your list, which I'll show you where it'll be, but you're not going to mess anything up. The only thing that you could check with your team beforehand, you can check with Aaron and I, is when you go to save and publish, which I'm going to click on right now. And now our event is live, meaning it is on the page, on Nevada's page right now. So let's just say, I wanted to, well, I guess the first thing would be better is let's see what this looks like, right? Let's see what your event looks like on the live page. And there it is. Your image that you had saved from before and you downloaded to your desktop is now here. Your language is here. Aaron is the host, so if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to him, my date, my time. This Action Network knows me because I'm on it a lot. No, because it saves here. But let's just say somebody that you have shared this with has never been on Action Network, has never been on a page. This is what their form will look like. So if I was going to put in my information, and I'm going to say I'm a person in recovery and I'm also an impacted family member, and I am interested in stigma reduction, harm reduction, prevention. Actually, I'm interested in everything. So I'm going to then go send RSVP. And then this is what I would be seeing as somebody who just took the action. Thank you for registering. Help us spread the word. The Zoom link is below. And here is my instructions from your host. Recovery Advocacy Project Nevada is inviting you to a scheduled Zoom meeting. And there it is. And that is everything for that. I'm gonna also just show you a few things once your page is up and live. So I have now RSVP'd as Garrett Haid, right? So I can go here to my RSVP list and I can see everyone who is RSVP'd to my event, can scroll through. I guess I'm registered as in Virginia too, because I took actions. That's funny because I registered for Nathan's action, but I had to get the senator's page up. So I said I lived at McShinn's address, and then now it has me as listed as a Virginia resident. Anyway, but you can see everybody who has RSVP'd to your thing. There's a discussion and events board. So like everybody who RSVPs can comment and talk to one another. And that's really only thing that you should probably worry about right now is the RSVPs and the discussion board. Before we move on, is there any questions about anything that I've covered so far?
It looks like Tammy. Tammy, did you have your hand up? Tammy D. Tammy, Alabama Tammy. Oh wait, no, that's Tammy, Louisiana Tammy. Hold on. Hold on.
I don't have a question.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
I thought somebody raised their hand on here.
Garrett, I just wanted to say welcome to Virginia.
So, okay, if there's no questions, I want to just go back and show you that.
Lynette has a question.
Sure.
I'm sorry, email blasts. How do we do that?
So that's a whole nother action and I don't want to confuse anybody.
Okay, so Garrett, I'll stop asking all these questions that are
no,
Richie.
No, it's a great question. And honestly, if everybody's okay with it, like Aaron and I will schedule another training a week from now and go over emails and we can go over all these topics, but we didn't want to inundate everybody with everything at the same time, because just some of the stuff we learned from last year is like teaching this one at a time and allowing everybody to take the time to work on an event and everything like that. But yes, like if I wanted to right now, I could create an email that would go to this entire list, or I can segment it, or I can do, I can do a lot of really cool things. Like I could target everybody in a specific zip code in this state if I needed to with an email. I could target everybody who clicked on one of those harm reduction pieces. I could target everybody based on who a specific legislator is. If like I need
wow,
to know,
that's real cool.
yeah, so it gets a little complicated, not hard. It's just a few steps of things that you would have to learn, and I just didn't want to confuse people. I think before though, like I think Aaron brought up a really good point with us in Nevada, was like we took the time to build out that list, so when I do need to target somebody, I have weight to what I'm asking for. So I could get 600 people to email the governor right now. Or I could get 100 people to target a specific legislator. But I did that by setting up constant communication through blast emails to the whole list, but also through listening sessions and town halls and events that we do and little meetings and advocacy day planning committees. But by using this, we built that list. So our emails would have weight to them when we took other actions. So I think just like starting with an event and making a simple thing is the best way to start. Also with that, and then I'll open it back up to questions, is that a lot of these actions operate in the kind of same format with a few tweaks. So once you learn one of them, the others aren't as hard to navigate. If you know, you might have to take a few extra steps, if that makes sense.
And Lynette, you can always, if you want to learn that, like
Sooner.
this week, you can just send a quick message to Garrett and I, and one of us will jump on with you for a while and teach you how to do it.
Well, you know, I want to know everything now.
I get it. I know that's
Character defect.
that's what we tried to do last year and it didn't work. So we lost, you know, like it's hard to, yeah, it's like one little piece at a time is kind of how, and just so everybody knows, it's like a year ago or a little over a year ago, December of 2019, Garrett and I had never done anything in Action Network. And so we had a lot of sort of trial and failure sort of stuff and figuring some of this stuff out. And so if some of the stuff tonight seems like too quick and shortcutted, it's because we've kind of done a lot of these, but the more people practice, it'll kind of come natural in building actions.
And I also want to just to let everybody know, once you get this invite, right, and you're an administrator for a group page, Action Network themselves, within a few days, if you have very specific questions, Nathan, they'll get back to you. I don't know if you got a response yet, but they do. It sometimes takes a little bit, but not only that, just this very simple tool that they have. So if you come up here to the top right, once you get that admin page, but wrong page, sorry.
And I would also just add that, you know, we created the Google Classroom for Action Network. So you'll get an invite to that and it'll have that stuff, Lynette, like it'll have how to email your state, how to do a petition, how to do. And so if you want to jump ahead and learn some of that stuff in video, you can go ahead and do that. And so we will send a specific Google Classroom to this group, not to your whole states or our whole network of organizing team members, just to the folks that are interested in doing the digital tools. You all will have access to that Google Classroom. And so we're going to send that out to you. And those videos are made by Action Network, like they walk people through it. And so we just basically created like a one-stop shop for a lot of these learning tools for the digital tools.
Yeah, and then right here is their knowledge base. So a lot of maybe things we don't cover, because the things that we've used it for to date hasn't really even scratched the surface of the capabilities of this organizing tool. Like with, you know, there's just a lot of tools that I haven't even learned or used yet. But we found that what we use the most is the petitions, the letter writing campaigns, the emails, and the event actions. But there's a knowledge base here. So anything that you need to learn, they have really short videos. It's been really helpful for me moving forward. And as I was learning more and more. So when you pop into your page, like I said, you can practice, but there's also this knowledge base that's right here under support. And you can go in there and feel free to learn as much as you want to learn.
And so do you just want to show people how, like if you were to share that link on social media and send it to your organizing team, Garrett, the one you just created, did you show people how to do that sort of piece?
Sure.
So and so anytime you want to go back to those that you go under your actions.
So here's the test. Remember, I labeled it as an admin as a test. If you needed to do any editing to it, or like maybe somebody noticed that something was spelled wrong after you published it, which happens to me a lot, you just click on manage and it'll bring you right here, and you can click on edit event and it'll pull it all back up for you. So just to know that in that manage portion is where you can do any edits. But if I was to go to view event, you'll see it brings you up in a new tab. And then all I do is simply take this and copy and paste into my Facebook page. But Aaron, were you talking about
or if you wanted to send it to your other team members, if you said, if somebody said, I'm volunteering to create a listening session for the team, I'll get you the link. And then, so that's the link that you would send people. So the whole team can register people for your listening session, or the whole team can get the tools out for a petition.
Once you clicked view event, if you see, it'll keep bringing up a new tab. That is your shareable link.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what you'll share email. If you post that in Facebook, this picture will pop up with a registration link. If you, instant message it or Facebook Messenger to people, that's the link you'll send.
Good. Is there any more questions about anything about creating the listening session registration page, or anything we kind of covered today?
I don't know if you could see my little.
Go ahead, Jenny.
So I've never done like created a Zoom meeting. Is that going to be another training, or do we use like your Zoom account? I can't remember how that.
Yes, so that's a great question. And so the reason why it's good to have state teams is you can ask a state team member if they have a Zoom account without like a time limit, and somebody, most likely somebody on your team has that. You can ask them to create that. That's kind of the role. That's kind of the idea of having teams, is like, if somebody doesn't know how to do something, somebody else on the team probably knows how to do it. And so, but if there's somebody that doesn't have a Zoom account, that doesn't have a time limit on or something like that, and you want to use Recovery Advocacy Project Zoom, we will create that for you. As long as Garrett and I or somebody is available that day, you can certainly use that. The reason why we ask each state team to find somebody on the team that has a Zoom account is because if our Zoom account's being used for 50 different listening sessions in a month, it's just going to be impossible to schedule it. And so the wrap Zoom is kind of like your plan B. If there's somebody else on your team that knows how to do Zoom and can create the link for you, you can just say, hey, I can create the page. Can you just send me the Zoom invitation so I can put it in the instructions for that day? So people know how to get on a Zoom that day.
And just keep in mind also, like, hopefully one day, up until a year ago, that was the address to the event of where somebody was driving and going to and being in person. So like, this won't be a Zoom link forever. I mean, it might be for a while, and it could be for a little bit of time. But hopefully one day we can, put an address there and hang out. So, but yeah, Aaron's right. We'll do our best. But our Zoom is tied up so it's like we want to make sure that our schedules on our account isn't interrupting the progress that you're trying to make in your state and what you're trying to accomplish. So, for the most part though, and I'm pretty sure with your state too, Jenny, that you guys have Zoom capabilities between one member of the team. So it's just a matter of working that out. But again, we're always here to help. And if we can, we'll do it.
Hey, Garrett, I had a quick question.
Sure.
Just because I think I kind of confused myself. So, because Aaron just mentioned like putting the link in there with the address. So you could set up the Zoom before you create the event and give it out to everyone, or you should not give it to them until after they've RSVP'd.
We put the Zoom in the instructions on the like once people have registered. We don't put it in the actual registration page. if that makes sense.
So not in the event, but then after they RSVP,
Right.
then they get Zoom information. Okay.
Yeah, and it kind of prevents like the whole Zoom bombing thing that was happening a while ago, and so it just kind of, so that way it's like, I mean, nobody's gonna like RSVP to an event just to like Zoom bomb it.
And
So-
also, like how many times, I know for me, like, so, I do my best to get everything on my schedule, but getting a 24-hour reminder automatically out to the people who registered for my event is a big plus to me. And like, if somebody registers and RSVPs and has the Zoom information that way, they automatically, whether I remember or not, are getting a reminder built in from the capabilities of Action Network that your event is happening.
Hi,
Okay,
this
that's
is-
really helpful.
Hi, this
Tracy
is
and then
Tracy.
Martha.
Hi, sorry, thank you. Is the wordage on this specifically set up so that you can only use Zoom? Like, I have 2 accounts that are available to me. I can use Microsoft Teams,
Mhm.
and we also have Blue Jeans available. Can I use any video platform, or is it specifically set up for Zoom as far as the language goes? Like, each one has different link verbiage, so I just want to make sure
Right.
that.
You can change anything in that description at the
Okay.
bottom there. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just,
So,
I
like-
mean, even if you wanted to write something about something state specific, you could write it in there. That's just really a sample language and a guide. And
Got
so
it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you could choose to use none of this language, and the
Mhm.
state team could come up. This is just what Aaron and I came up with at one point in time for a listening session somewhere, and have used it. And we just thought it gave a basic, description of what the event is. But like, if you just needs to say, Google Meets or Microsoft Teams or whatever that Blue Jeans, sure, so be it. Everything is editable.
Marcia?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, when I set up a Zoom invite, I get my Zoom link, but when Garrett was putting it into the thank you that comes back to them, how did he get all the detail that gives him the phone number? It's like the long listing that they get. Yeah. How do you get that off your Zoom? I've been perplexed by that.
Right here.
You go to copy invitation on when you're signed into Zoom on your computer.
Copy invitation. Thank you so much.
And then
if
it
you
just
just click
says,
that.
yep.
Good.
Yeah.
You solved a lot of problems for me in other areas of my life. Thank you.
Any other questions?